Alright, Chapter 5, Section 2, we're going to do Day 1 of Soil. So, soil characteristics. Soil is considered to be part of the regolith that supports the growth of plants. And when I say regolith, I mean it's a layer of rock and mineral fragments. The components of soil is that it contains mineral matter, that's broken down rock. It contains humus, or the decayed remains of organisms, mostly plants. This is not akin to hummus, which is what you eat. Water and air. So looking at the chart, you can see it's 45% mineral matter, about 25 and 25 for water and air, and then only 5% of that organic matter. So really not a lot of the organic matter or humus goes into soil. Soil texture refers to the proportions of different particle sizes within the soil. So you can have large particles such as sand. You can have medium-sized particles such as silt. Or you can have particles of clay, which are your small sizes. Now, the best type of soil texture is what we call loam. It's a mixture of all three of those sizes, and it is the best suited for if you are going to grow or harvest any plant life at all. Now, when we talk about soil texture, we have this diagram that represents the percentage of clay, the percentage of silt, and then the percentage of sand. So you can see here we have the diameter of our sand, and it's blown up big so that you can see sand in comparison to silt and clay. And then of course if you look at the diagram right here in the middle is your loam. So taking a look again at this diagram, you will need to know how to read the diagram. So if you look over here, you see percent clay. All of these numbers are looking at you as if you're reading them correctly. So you're going to take from that number and follow this red line straight across. That's the 70% clay line. Okay, here's the 40% clay line, right down through here. Here's the 30% clay line. So if the number is reading in this direction, you're going to follow straight out from that number, and that's the pathway that you're going to follow. So for percent silt, you can see that the percent silt numbers are on a diagonal, and they are green. So 30% silt is right here. It's this green diagonal line because the numbers are diagonal. 50% silt, again, that green diagonal line. And then, of course, at the bottom, percent sand, and these are, again, diagonal, but these are diagonal in a different direction. So here's 50% on the sand line, 30% on the sand line. Now, if I were to ask you, what are the percents for each of those if we're looking at point A, if we're looking at sandy clay for point A? So let's follow our lines back. Here's our line for clay. It's 40% clay. Here's our green line. It is 10% silt. All right, and then back to our point, and here's our blue line. And it's actually also 50% sand. So 40% clay, 50% sand, 10% silt will give you a sandy clay in the location of A. Now, factors that can affect soil will be the parent material. So it's your residual bedrock or the soil that's transported in. You can see from this image you have your bedrock is the lowest portion here. Time is also a factor, so the longer the soil forms, the thicker or the wider or the taller it's going to become. So the more soil you will have. Climate is another factor. It has the greatest effect on your soil formation. You can see here we have different types of soils based on where we're located in western North Carolina. And then organisms also influence the soil's physical and chemical properties. It also furnishes the organic matter that creates the soil. Slope, or what we call topography, is another factor. We talked about topography when we looked at your topographic maps. So the angle or the steepness. So if it's really steep, it's going to be very poorly developed. It's going to have very few plants in there. Whereas if it's flat to undulating, or what we call very slowly sloping, that's your optimum slope. That's where you're going to have the most plant life growing. The orientation and the direction of your slope also matters. It will affect your temperature and your moisture in the soil. So here are all the different things that go into making soil what really is a good soil. So organisms, topography, climate, parent material, and time. So today, read 5.2 from your Earth Science book. Look back over 12.1 from the environmental book. That's the one on your iPad. And we'll do soil part 1 handout and work on your soil projects. And that's it for today.